Pro wrestling talk from the four corners of parts unknown. This is That Wrestling Podcast. Welcome to That Wrestling Podcast. I am the pod general, Jason Marchuk. With me as always is Kevin, Joe, Brian, and we start the show every week the same way.
What are you wearing? What are you wearing? What are you wearing today? What are you wearing? What are you wearing? What are you wearing today?
All right, so last week, I know what I said. I said I'd be wearing the TWP Hollywood shirt, but I didn't feel like it because I found something out of storage that was so great I had to wear it. I've got the original Nexus t-shirt, and on the back it says you're either Nexus or against us. And not only do I have the t-shirt,
the armband.
The armband.
That's a good find.
Of course, I always take it to the next level, going back to the Mark Henry salmon jacket many shows ago. So I had to go Nexus armband. I'm not gonna lie. This fucking thing hurts, so I want to take this off. So, so right now, I'm against them.
You're now against them. Yeah.
Kevin, what do you got?
Well, yours is a blast from the past. Yours is very, that decal is huge on that shirt. The shirt I went with today, no decal. I'm spotting the brand new solid white tee.
The Daniel
Bryanson tee.
Available at whatamaneuver.net. Like our That Wrestling Podcast t-shirts. Wow, Kevin. So honestly, Kevin, is this because you're trying to be funny, or have you run out? Have you run out and you don't want to be a loser repeat like Joe?
I have not run out. And it kind of is a sad thing because I did have several that I have not worn before, and one of them happens to be a Ric Flair shirt. So I was like, yeah, that timing would not be good. We'll get into that in a little bit. But no, just the match that he had that we're going to get into.
Okay.
Holy crap. I already wore my Kenny. I didn't want to wear the Daniel Bryan shirt, right? I had to rep Daniel Bryanson today. So,
and then Joe, what are you repeating this week?
I'm not repeating anything, but
what?
Here's the thing. It's a repeat of something someone else wore.
Okay.
This is the first time I wore
Austin 316.
Homage NWO.
Oh yeah, I wore that like
shirt
6 weeks ago.
Exactly. And after you wore it, I'm like, I have to buy that. But I also took it to the next level. Not only am I wearing the NWO shirt.
Oh, I know what you're doing.
I got the sunglasses too.
Oh, there it is.
From the NWO box.
Yes.
So very cool, very cool. And Brian, I guarantee it's a repeat because I think you literally have run through your things probably close to 3 times now in show 26.
I think this might be a second appearance for this one. So on Wednesday was the first day of fall, and it hit big here in my parts unknown. We had like 3 to 4 inches of rain. I got a hoodie on here in the basement. It's like, oh no, summer is gone. So I picked a shirt that tried to give me a little bit of the threads of summertime and warm weather and good times. And that shirt would be the original podcast for you, the SoCal Pro Wrestling Podcast.
Okay.
Look at that sun. Look at those palm trees. Summer is not over
Those
yet.
wrestling bears.
The wrestling
What's that?
bears.
Yeah, that was a whole lifetime ago, it seems like. But much like that setup kind of took a lifetime for you to get to, but that's besides the point. I'm on meds, so who knows what the hell tonight's going to be.
I'm interested in real quick. I'm interested in Kevin is starting a new band. I heard they're called the Plain White Tees. Is that accurate?
Yeah, and I was gonna say you and Jay were going against each other. Pod General versus Brian. Apparently, you're not Nexus. You're against him.
I guess so. Sorry.
Joe, you got any cheesy stuff to say?
No, I just always, whenever I see that shirt, I go back to John Cena going, oh, you guys are, with the ends going across.
Gotcha.
Oh, I forgot about that.
So this past week, Joe and I, the most unlikely tag team of tag teams, More unlikely than Rhea Ripley and Nikki Ash. We dropped a 0.5 episode of TWP Extra about the Dark Side of the Ring Flight from Hell documentary. It aired last week. And Joe, since Sunday, has anything changed? Has more stuff happened? Did we get something wrong? Did they get something wrong that came out? Any update on the Flight from Hell and our podcast from Hell?
Well, the only thing that's like new is Ric Flair is no longer part of the beginning tag for WWE. You don't hear the Woo or Flair. They replace him with Warrior. I'm guessing that has to do with it, which is weird. And not only did Darkseid make a mistake, but so did we.
Oh,
it was their mistake that we went on. It was the fact that we focused on why didn't they focus on Vince McMahon, and they said Vince and Linda were in the front of the plane. Vince and Linda were not on the plane at all. Vince at the time was traveling with the SmackDown brand, and this was a Raw only pay-per-view. Now, the Vince Angle wrestling match that did happen on a different flight.
Oh, okay.
So
okay.
that's like we had those stories, wires crossed. So that was really the only mistake after I re-listened to it. I'm like, did a little bit more
actually,
research.
you actually made another mistake. No, you made another mistake.
What's that?
You had said that the Car Shield commercials were gone. The Car Shield commercials ran on Raw.
That's weird too, because I did have two sources, and actually I had three.
They were both wrong.
It was the Car Shield people. It was the statement from them. It was from PW Insider, and it was from 411. Like those are three sources, and I was shocked. I didn't watch Raw, so I don't know.
I sent you the screenshot, so you were wrong
did. I'm
there.
not calling you a liar.
So Tommy Dreamer has now been suspended from Busted Open.
Mm-hmm.
He is suspended from Impact. He released a statement on Twitter. If you go to our social media at thatwrestlepod, you can see what he said. I retweeted it. But Kevin and Brian, did you guys get a chance to watch it? And what did you think? And more importantly, what did you think of the podcast from Hell with the most unlikeliest tag team in history?
I'll go first. I'll talk about the show. I think the Dark Side. One, I was starting to really like Tommy more and more on Busted Open, right? And then I saw the respect level. Talk about a plane, that thing nosedive into the ground. My respect level for Tommy. Just if I know Flair came out and said I did nothing of the sort. If it happened or not, Tommy kind of backing him up and saying, "Oh, it's just playing around. Oh, people can get insensitive on different things." If it truly happened and he's like helicoptering his dick on a flight attendant, it's pretty bad stuff, right? And the thing is, I believe the flight attendant. She came off so personable, like you could see her getting choked up. Tommy Dreamer's a loser, and Rick, in my eyes, I don't know.
Wow,
it's part of. I think there was maybe not to the level of what happened. I wasn't on the plane, right? But I don't know. I think Rick's guilty. Rick comes across that type of guy as a playboy. You know, I can have any woman. I think just, you know, if they really went through 3 carts of alcohol, maybe it played part of it, but inexcusable actions, and very inexcusable from Tommy Dreamer supporting that or making excuses up. It was very weird. And then he made the comment, "Oh, I have a double ponytail," and used that to compare to that weird ponytail. Made him even look freaking worse. Like that did no justice for Tommy Dreamer at all. And he's getting what he deserves.
Brian?
Yeah, the ponytail line, that was honestly the worst of it from the Tommy Dreamer standpoint, where he was minimizing things and you know, some of the context I could understand of saying, okay, yeah, you do that back then, it's one thing. You do that today, absolutely you can't. But when he continued on by saying about like people get offended over everything, someone's offended about my ponytail, I'm like, wow, what are you really doing this right now? That really caught me off guard. The episode itself, I thought it was pretty enlightening. Some of the stuff, the Brock Kurt Hennig fight against the emergency door, I'd heard of.
Yeah.
like I remember Scott Hall being fired after. I didn't remember the circumstances around it. So some of the stuff I remember, and the Flair I really didn't. And that's a tough one. You know, he's denying it. She has her story. I saw Rob Van Dam has said, you know, he didn't see anything like that. So it's, you know, there's only two people, or, you know, in this case, the flight attendant and whoever is on the plane who can, you know, vouch for what really happened. So that's tough for me to make a final judgment on that, but it was tough to hear for sure. And yeah, the episode was very captivating, but yeah, biggest of all loser just with the presentation was Tommy Dreamer. It was like, oh no, what are you saying right now?
And what'd you guys think of me and Joe doing the team up podcast?
Yeah, a little clunky in a good way, in a good way, because you guys have that animosity. But no, it was fine. You guys recapped it all. You hit on all the points, and you know, whenever I made sure I watched the show, then got to the podcast to hear your guys' thoughts. I didn't want to go in blind, and Joe said exactly what I was thinking about the Tommy Dreamer comments with the ponytail, that I was just like, whoa, like what are we doing right now? So great job, emergency podcast, man. Well done.
Kevin, thoughts on the emergency podcast?
This is my, whoa, as I kick my table. You and Brian grew up, right? Or not grew up, but you guys were good friends before we all became good friends. Me and you got to bond, right, in Vegas recently. It was nice. You and Joe had your little bonding session too. It was good. It was good. Things have been crazy. I was slightly jealous I couldn't be part of it, but I'm glad that I wasn't, because it was great just hearing you two kind of bicker at each other a little bit.
And if you liked the extra, the 0.5 podcast, let us know on social media at thatwrestlepod. You can send a DM or you can send a Gmail, thatwrestlepod@gmail.com. Now, when the episode aired, some wrestling fans did some research about Heidi Doyle. And she has a criminal record. Guilty of stealing $80,000 worth of jewelry in 2016 from a man named Rob Scott. This was so serious, it ended up at San Diego County Crime Stoppers and investigators from the North Coastal Sheriff Station looking for a man and a woman, one of them being Heidi Doyle, stole $80,000 in jewelry. And it's pretty interesting. Now, this, you know, back then, I mean, there was only $1,000 reward. And they were driving a Volkswagen EOS. I don't even know what that is. But while the traumatic event happened to Heidi Doyle, she apparently went on a crime spree. So, I'm not surprised that wrestling fans dug that up, because while wrestling fans do get a bad rap, when they're looking for a way to defend their heroes, they will go to the fullest extent to find something, anything. Like if Heidi Doyle got a parking ticket, they probably would have went and ran with that. But obviously something more serious, $80,000 in grand theft. Kevin, what do you want? What do you got?
One thing I was going to mention about her too, while
watching,
you said it right the first time.
It's the meds. It's the meds. I swear.
While watching it, did you guys notice that most of it she looked very well put together in the interviews, and then like part of it she kind of looked out of it.
There was like a second interview with her. Yeah.
Like it was almost like candid more at home. I don't know. Brian brought a really good point about Rob Van Dam, right? Because he said, some guys that I used to run with would do H-bombs or take advantage of women. The thing is, if he saw, not to beat a dead horse with Flair, but if he saw Flair say something, Rob Van Dam was 100% honest in that, and he did not come across bad, but he said some pretty crazy stuff too. But he's just that type of guy with his tinted sunglasses, looking drugged out of his mind, like just being 100% honest. But Bri, I will say, look up, it was with TNA, Kurt Hennig in the ring talking about the plane ride. It's a fantastic, like 4-minute, just saying, I beat up Brock Lesnar, 30,000 feet.
I kind of remember that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And real quick,
before he died.
Yeah, literally right. Yeah.
On the podcast that you and Joe did too, I want to shout out really quickly my friend John Panessa. He hit me up before I'd seen it to say, hey, did you see Dark Side of the Ring? Because this was the talk of the wrestling world for a good couple of days. And I said, I haven't, but check out, the guys did a bonus episode, and he did check it out, and he put on the Facebook about the Jonathan Coachman story that you brought up earlier, Joe, of, hey, he's saying that Vince wasn't on the plane. So maybe that connects the dots of why nothing happened with that. So shout out to John. Thank you for listening. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, John. So, Joe, you hate Monday Night Raw. You didn't watch it, and man, did you miss out. Monday Night Raw was awesome this week. It started off with a 6-man. It was the Bloodline showing up on Raw against the New Day. There was then a triple threat main event. Roman, Big E, and
Bobby
Lashley.
Yeah, Lashley. So good. I completely forgot, because I feel like the WWE dropped the ball. And what this is, it's not popular opinion, especially to you, Joe, because you hate everything on Mondays. I feel like the WWE dropped the ball on Natty and Tamina as tag team champions. They lost to the second most unlikely tag team in the world, next to me and Joe, Nikki Ash and Rhea Ripley. I feel like they had potential to turn that team into like a legacy adjacent team. You know, they have ties, you know, their family history, and now it's just nothing. You know, I don't understand why, but you know,
Tamina's finally going to get her rocket ship to that championship women's title.
I hope so. I hope so. Brian, you watched Raw, the main event, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. No, I enjoyed the show for the most part. The tag match, I was kind of, I'm sorry, the women's tag match, I was a little rolling my eyes about it, because over on SmackDown, Tegan Nox and Shotzi Blackheart beat Natty and Tamina like 2 or 3 times. And they never got a title shot.
Okay, yeah, all right. Forgot about that.
Yeah, like, so where was their title shot? They literally beat them a couple of times. And Nikki and Rhea just stroll on in on Monday. Sure, we'll beat you. And they won in like 3 minutes. I thought that was lame. But no, listen. Roman, the Bloodline, that was great. Big E starting the show off with a celebratory promo, shouting out Brody Lee, rest in peace. You know, that was a really special moment, I thought. And when they set it up to have the triple threat main event, since Lashley interfered in the opening match, I was like, holy shit, let's go, baby, let's go. And to steal Big E's line from the podcast that everybody loves from the New Day podcast, that was big meaty men slapping meat. It was great. Kevin, they all were so great, man.
Kevin, you got something?
I got nothing.
Okay.
I'm just listening to you guys.
There were people upset that the Bloodline and New Day was on free TV. Like, really? Why would you be pissed off that was on free TV? And then also pissed off that that main event was on free TV. What the hell is wrong with you? Why would you complain about that? Raw has not their back against the wall, but this is what
yes, they do.
No, they don't.
Yes,
AEW is never going to beat
Not
WWE.
AEW, Monday Night Football.
Yeah,
We're down the field. That's where Joe was.
Oh gosh, Peyton and his little brother talk. No, nobody cares about Monday.
Hey, that was entertaining. I'm not gonna.
Nobody cares about Monday Night Football. The best part about Monday Night Football was Pat McAfee being on that broadcast. That was the only good thing about Monday Night Football. You guys are both Lions fans. The Lions were the Lions, even though they were up at halftime. And no, this isn't about back against the wall with Monday Night Football. I feel like maybe they are seeing AEW in a different light because of the free agent signings. But now, Raw has been awesome for the last couple weeks. And maybe it's coincidental. I don't know. But can we all agree main roster Rhea Ripley has been a bust?
Agreed.
It's not where it was in NXT. No.
It was
because she's
very brutal of her brutality.
She's different, obviously.
Charlotte. Charlotte's fault.
Charlotte's the queen. She can do whatever she wants.
Yeah, that's the problem. She does whatever she wants.
Yeah, that's right, because she's the queen. She deserves to be doing whatever she wants.
We're just going to call her Charlotte because they're going to change her last name anyway.
Yeah, I was going to. You stole my line. And then
Charlotte Raleigh.
Charlotte Raleigh, yeah.
It's well.
Durham.
Durham.
They'll make her a cowgirl, and she'll be Charlotte Raleigh Durham.
No, it'll be Charlotte Spartacus. She's going to be getting her hair cut and wearing a helmet like Rick had to do in WCW, and that's why he quit. So they're going to make her Spartacus.
Like 300. Nice.
Wow.
Yep.
And then the promo,
Spartacus.
the Connor's Cure promo on Raw. Brian, did you watch it?
I did.
It was bad.
And it was. I didn't watch it back, but
it was bad.
Was she getting like legitimately choked up? It kind of seemed like it, but it also kind of seemed like there was one point where like
she know what she was saying.
Like Nikki fed her a line, like, so I'm like, are you just nervous because you're not remembering what to be saying, or are you legitimately being emotional talking about children with cancer? I'm not gonna dig into it. I don't care that much about it, but
it went sideways.
It was weird.
And I like the Nikki ASH character. I know I'm in the minority, but I like it. I like it better than Rhea Ripley. Brian, I sent you a message about Cheap Heat. They got into this week. Peter Rosenberg, Stat Guy Greg, who I normally never agree with Stat Guy Greg, but I agree 1,000% on this one that Nikki ASH is better than Rhea Ripley right now on the main roster.
I will say on the plus side for the women on Monday Night Raw, and Joe, you'll take some interest in this. We might be getting some badass Shayna Baszler. She took out Nia. She took her out really good, like destroying her arm. Maybe we're finally getting the Shayna Baszler from NXT that we've been wanting to see for quite some time. So hopefully I got some potential there for that.
She needs to bite people's necks as her finisher.
I don't know. Let's leave them
as she's making them tap.
Is it too little, too late?
Well, it's like coming up on Halloween.
I don't know. Good question.
No, that's why it's a question. I'm not being negative. I'm like, is it too little, too late? Because it's been 2 years.
No,
I hope not. I don't know
if it's this violence personified, where she gets people to tap out and then bites part of their body off. I'm all in. I think it'd be a great way to go. But we're going to move on.
She faces the queen.
Well, yeah, she can't do that. No, absolutely not. So we're going to touch on NXT. Last week, I sang the praises. I loved every bit of it. Week 2, NXT Week 2.0, I'm all in. I love every part of NXT. The only problem I had this week, which is the same problem I had last week, they had a promo segment that kind of went sideways. Last week, it was Carmelo Hayes and his sidekick. This week, it was Mandy Rose and her 2 sidekicks. These promos got to be short. They're letting these people, I guess, a sink or swim kind of moment. But those are the only 2 things I have seen wrong with NXT 2.0 in the last 2 weeks. Brian, I know you caught the main event.
I did. The Braun Breaker show, fellas.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to put it on him as far as like past, because he already has the family tie-in, right? So we don't need to go. But in my head, I'm like Goldberg, Ryback, like guys who are like monsters.
No, come on.
I mean that in a positive
way. Completely different show.
I mean that in a positive way of like new, strong guy who's being really dominant. I mean it. Like I don't necessarily want it to be the end result. And I think he's already shown like more I saw him do like some roll in the ring, and I was like, whoa, okay. Like this guy seems like he has a lot of tools. Great second debut, if you will, second time appearance for him. So yeah, curious to see where that goes. One report came out this week too, and I missed this, and Jay, maybe you can vouch for it. that NXT is getting the green light to be edgier in language and story. And so they tease that next week will be the honeymoon of Indy and Dexter. And do you know the line that Wade Barrett said that speaks to that rumor about the edgier content, Jay? Because if you don't, I will say it.
Please say it, because I'm on a blank right now because I'm on medication.
The honeymoon will be shown next week, and Wade said, well, that should be good because Dexter has been working on his oral skills. Because he spoke last week. Come on, fellas. Get your head out of the gutter. Wow, Mamma Mia.
Braun Breaker sounds more like Scott Steiner than Rick Steiner. So are we sure? Are we sure Rick Steiner is the dad? Because he sounds way too much like Big Papa Pump than the dog face gremlin.
Rick.
He does.
Yeah, I know.
He looks like Rick, sounds like Scott.
No, it looks like Rick, but body frame is more looking like Scott.
And then maybe my new favorite guy on NXT 2.0 is Andre Chase, the teacher. Joe, you would think this would be your favorite guy because
you're gonna like this
teacher.
It screams to me Timothy Thatcher.
No.
It's
It's not the same.
It's a mix between Thatcher and Matt Stryker. I'm gonna have to see where it goes, but I did enjoy NXT. We have to call it NXT 2.0 because they said it 75,000 times.
Yeah,
in the first hour. So
that's true.
We have to say 2.0 every single time. And what was it? What were they called? Lethal Seduction? Because they tried to say that 18 million.
Well,
times.
because of that
toxic feels like that was it.
No, that toxic. No, that they're called something toxic, something else. But the lethal thing is some talk show from some girl next week. They kept teasing that.
Okay, either way, it was,
I apologize.
I liked NXT 2.0. I thought they had a good second week. It was a little strange to see Tommaso Ciampa in the ring with all the new guys. It gave me a feel of Russo and Bischoff with the new blood behind them.
Yeah.
Like, we're redoing everything and this is our future. But I felt like it needed to happen because we had to see who we should really care about because we haven't heard anything about these guys or girls at all. So only thing I'm really bummed about is it seems like Hit Row is taking a back seat.
Yeah, I think that's true. They're letting the Electra girl from Legado Fantasma, get a little more love over the girl from Hit Row. But the Andre Chase segment, he was teaching class, and
he had no classroom management skills whatsoever.
Get the fuck out, Steve! Get the fuck out, Steve! Was the funniest.
Don't lose your cool.
I watched it 10 times. I just rewound it over and over. Get the fuck out, Steve! Was the best thing ever. And the new guy
at whatamaneuver.net.
The new guys. I don't understand why they have Joe Gacy dressing like a high school shop teacher. Button down, short sleeve shirt, tucked into the khakis with the belt. He fought Cameron Grimes this week. Gacy was
what his character is supposed to be.
Unless I missed out. Unless I'm just.
His character is supposed to be a dig at the extreme woke culture,
and it's already canceled.
Yeah,
his character's gone now.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Because I read earlier that it's getting mainstream coverage on like Fox News and like MSNBC and like bad comparisons.
Yeah, why would they want that?
They were saying it's a safe space and like they were doing all those like extreme woke sayings.
Oh, I didn't know that.
That's why his character got beat up so quickly, and Wade Barrett was ripping him apart. So it's like I think that's where they were going with it, and like Kevin said, I think it's not going to last because people are already complaining, and that was the point.
Yeah, 411, not 411 mania.com, 411 mania.com. Read that earlier from there.
Funny that the teacher gets the name of the website wrong. All right, so like I said, NXT 2.0. I am literally all in with this. Absolutely loved it. We're gonna go back to last Friday though. Rampage, the promo segment between Ruby and Britt Baker. Friday night after 10 o'clock. You can kind of get away with a little more stuff on TV. AEW lets the wrestlers be the wrestlers and no scripted promos. And they were hitting some hard lines. You know, Ruby said Britt's just like every other girl, a lot of makeup and banging a guy in the back.
I know.
Britt came back with, you call yourself the runaway, but you didn't run away from anywhere. You got fired.
Yeah.
Such a great promo segment. Kevin, did you buy that Britt Baker shirt yet?
I did not.
Okay.
I think I'm going to make one.
At kevinamanuver.net.
My wife's a dental hygienist. I think
sleeves.
I'm just going to get a lot of toothbrushes and maybe a Sharpie coming soon on the wrestling podcast.
Please, when you do it,
and I'm not on meds. I'm just crazy tonight.
when you make this T-shirt, please film it, and we'll make it a TWP YouTube extra of you creating your own Britt Baker T-shirt. While I was in Pittsburgh last week, I forgot to tell you, a buddy of mine brought me a present. He brought me the Britt Baker towel.
Nice.
Yeah,
The debut Rampage.
yeah. Doc talked about it before, and he brought me. So for all the cities now, apparently they're doing like the home team's color in an AEW shirt. So he got me an AEW shirt that's this color. It is just the AEW logo, which is kind of cool. Like normally it's just black, but that one's yellow, and then Cincinnati was red, and you know they sell the gray one. So yeah, it was very cool. Thanks, Doc, if you're watching. Odds are you probably are not, but more AEW stuff. Time to put the gloves on, Brian. AEW has partnered with the Owen Hart Foundation.
Yeah, buddy.
And in what this means is that in the future, Owen Hart will be in AEW video games. There will be AEW Owen Hart shirts. There will be AEW Owen Hart action figures. And there is a tournament where the winner will receive the Owen Hart Cup. Brian, why do you think this is a good idea?
Fans have really taken to the legacy of Owen Hart since his tragic passing. And understandably so, Owen's widow has not wanted to do anything with WWE. She blames them for his death. That's certainly logical. And if, you want to put the shoe on the other foot, if talk about us, if your wife was killed at her occupation by the hands of those people that she worked for, would you be cool with that same organization honoring and celebrating and profiting from your wife's passing? Yeah, probably not.
It'd be weird for me.
What's that?
It'd be weird for me.
Yeah, yes.
I work with my wife, so that'd be kind of strange.
Yeah.
Joe's going to jail if it happens.
You get my point.
No, I get it.
So yeah, while I understand on the surface of he wasn't an AEW wrestler. I thought about this some more, and you guys know whose jerseys retired in the Miami Heat arena? A weird one.
Yeah,
Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan.
He had nothing to do with Miami Heat except knocking him out of the playoffs, but they honored him because of his contributions to the game of basketball. Major League Baseball has retired Jackie Robinson's jersey 42. Every team, no team can use number 42.
Absolutely.
Did he play for the Phillies? Did he play for the Texas Rangers? No. They honored him for his contributions. If Martha Hart, is it Martha? Excuse me.
Yeah.
But if Martha Hart feels that this company can honor the legacy of her late husband, I'm cool with it. I understand that there's not a direct connection because it's literally impossible. There's a 2-year connection, 2-year-old company. But I'm cool with it. Absolutely.
1, Owen Hart was not the greatest wrestler in the history of our great sport. 2, Owen Hart was not the first white wrestler in the history of our great sport. 3, Owen Hart was not an AEW superstar because AEW did not exist when Owen Hart was alive. What this is 2 things. Martha Hart giving WWE the double birds, and 2, I feel like this is Tony Khan playing fantasy booker. Like, he's signing all his favorites, all the superstars. Yes, Owen Hart was one of his favorites. While I understand the connection with the foundation and bringing Owen Hart's name and stuff to the masses, the video games, the T-shirts, the action figures, where does that money go? Does it go to AEW? Does it go to the Owen Hart Foundation? Does it go to Martha Hart?
Right. That's important to ask. Absolutely.
I don't think this is necessary. We obviously aren't going to get anything WWE Owen Hart related, but what's AEW going to do? Like, show a picture of him? Like, there's no footage they can use. Like, in theory, yeah, Brian, you said, well, the Hall of Fame honored people that didn't work for WWE. I get that, but this is different than the Hall of Fame. Owen Hart will go into the WWE Hall of Fame. It doesn't matter if Martha says no or not. Her family still works there. So somebody from WWE will induct Owen Hart into the WWE Hall of Fame, whether it's Natty, David Hart Smith, who signed, showed up for a backstage promo and hasn't been seen since. Like, somebody will. I just think this is weird. I don't think that it makes a lot of sense. And honestly, I hope it succeeds, but I really want to know where the money goes, that they profit from the Owen Hart likeness T-shirt and whatever the hell else.
The foundation, was certainly mentioned in the press release announcing this partnership. So
do we know what the foundation does? Like, what's it for?
It is scholarships. I'd have to look into it some more, but yeah, I remember scholarships being one of the words, and it explained it in the press release. You got some good points, but I guess at the end of the day, I'm still gonna go, this is the widow. This is what she wants to do, and you kind of have to go.
Oh, it's a huge FU. It's the double birds to WWE, man.
Absolutely.
That's what this is. That's what this is. All right, another WWE AEW connection happened this week. And Brian, I'm going to leave all this story up to you because honestly, I didn't have time to read everything that came out this week about Bryan Danielson and his letter to the WWE. So take it away.
Yeah, and I won't get into the letter as much as like word for word, but he did do a write-up in the Players Tribune. You guys can look on my Twitter. I've retweeted the link, or you can just pull it up on Google, I'm sure. But basically, it's a thank you note. It's a thank you note to the WWE, and I won't get into what he said, but I found an interview that he did after the fact asking him why he did this. And this I thought was important. And he says, I just felt like I needed to say thank you to WWE publicly, because not only the people within WWE, but the WWE fan base, some of them may have felt a little betrayed, he said. And I love this quote. He's absolutely right. If you're online on Twitter, wrestling Twitter, and he puts, quote, there is a level of tribalism in wrestling, and I wanted to transcend that because I had many incredible moments and I wasn't able to say goodbye to a lot of people that I love behind the scenes. Good people you form great relationships with from spending so much time with them, like the catering people who specifically made vegan meals for me for years and years. And the hard thing was my loyalty to Vince McMahon. I love him and he's done so much for me and my family. And that was the hard thing. I thought that was so classy for him to do. Now he has the circumstances, you can't compare what his situation is with his contract compared to CM Punk or anybody else. Everybody's experience is different, but to hear somebody speak glowingly about where he was, I thought was so refreshing. So check out the Players Tribune. You can read the whole thing. He has a line that I will say, he has a line that you kind of, turn your head and you can laugh at, but he has a line that goes like, to Vince McMahon, I wish others can see you like I see you. I'm sure there's a million jokes that could come out of that of like, well, God damn it, pal. I don't want them to see me.
Well, he called him the big man. He never said Vince McMahon.
Yes,
Vince
you're
doesn't
right.
like to be mentioned.
Vince doesn't like to be acknowledged. Yes. So yeah, but he did that. So that was really cool. It's well worth your time to read that. And the other thing, and we kind of either mentioned it during a previous show or just casually amongst us, is the yes chants and what's going on with that. And he acknowledged, and we picked up on this. We're like, he's not leading it. The crowd is doing it, but he's not doing the chant. He's not doing his arms up. And he said in an interview that WWE, when he shared with them that he was signing with AEW, asked them, in his words, to not use their intellectual property. And he's going to respect that. He followed up with, like, I don't know.
I stole it from Diego Sanchez in the UFC, but hey, whatever.
That's true. That is true. Yeah, basically he was like, I don't know what sort of legal recourse you can do for putting your hands in the air. But
just
he's
don't
like,
care.
He's right, but he's gonna respect their wishes, and
like they respected him because they tried to give it to the Big Show. They tried to give it to Alberto Del Rio. They tried to give it to Stephanie McMahon.
Oh my God!
Let's be honest. They really respected him with the yes chant at the beginning.
Maybe they do own it.
Yeah.
So
yes.
that
just shows what a good guy Brian is. He could honestly just say, F you, I'm going to do what I want. But I'm not surprised to hear him say that, because he's a guy that he said about his reasons for going to AEW is for the new challenges and the what ifs and stuff. So I can see that he's not trying to rely on the past so much as he wants to just challenge himself and move forward. So yeah, we'll see if that changes at all on upcoming AEW programming. But for now, and you saw it on a Grand Slam, he's not doing it. He's just letting the crowd do it and going from there.
I'll say he probably sounds like the coolest Brian in the world.
Well, wait.
Man.
I'll buy that. Yeah.
You are shooting on Tommy Dreamer and Brian tonight. Jeez. Jesus Christ, man. So Brian brought up Grand Slam, and I don't know if you heard, there was a dream match on AEW Dynamite Grand Slam last night. It was Daniel Bryanson against Kenny Omega. It was a dream match. JR said it 6 times in the first minute of Dynamite. Counted and drank each time. Not on Mets. Mets came today. So it was awesome. Yeah. Everything about the match was awesome. Now, to me, it was predictable, because I felt if they would have gave Daniel Bryanson the title, that would have been a huge mistake. Huge mistake. But I'm glad it wasn't a run-in, and I'm glad Danielson didn't win the title. I
think it was non-title.
It was
non-title.
Yeah.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
But he still wouldn't have won.
Let's just have a match.
Yeah. It was just a match.
I thought it was for the. I could have sworn it was for the title. Okay, well, I guess maybe with his performance at AEW Grand Slam, this entitles him to a title match. Fuck the ratings in the records. That shit doesn't matter anymore, right? That's how it works.
Well, he's 0-1, so that means number 1 contender.
I mean, Brian Danielson versus Joey Janela next week.
Jason, did you notice during that amazing match when JR was trying to run down the rest of the card? Is it Malachi? It's Malachi.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Malachi?
I think
it's Malachi.
He caught him.
I'm like, dummy, you said it was his name. You said his name.
He's going to face Malachi. Is it Malachi? Black, right? Malachi.
Fuck.
Poor JR.
Of course, I enjoying the match, and then he starts doing that. And I'm like, Jason's going nuts right now. That's what makes this even better.
And maybe we should just pull up. Maybe we should just record us all watching. Well, I'm the one that freaks out the most, so maybe I should just run live on the YouTube. Who knows? Kevin, what were you gonna say about CM Punk?
I was gonna say he said it. What everyone was thinking when he came out, and he was like, I'm glad I don't have to wrestle till Rampage, because it would be hard to wrestle after that.
Did you know that he hasn't wrestled on TV in 7 years? Because
I heard that. I was surprised. I was surprised.
Actually, my TV, I have one of those plasma TVs. It's actually embedded in my lower left-hand corner. CM Punk hasn't wrestled on TV in 7 years because it was up there so much. No, the crowd, holy crap, they were hot.
They were ready
at the beginning of the match where they just stared at each other, didn't say anything, and we couldn't hear what they were saying, and they were just talking, and it's like one of those goosebump moments. They were feeling it. The crowd was hot. Like, just to start off, just some holds. Kenny hits the slap, opposite side of the ring. Brian hits the kick, and it's just, man, his chest was like, so it looked like Sheamus's chest after a while. It was Danielson's chest. It was
looked like Greatest Royal Rumble chest.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking, Joe. Yep.
It was awesome. I mean, 30 minutes fast. That was
only one picture-in-picture that I was happy about.
I was watching. I paid attention to when it started, because when I heard about the time limit, I'm like, oh, okay. Because normally, and it makes sense now, because normally title matches are 60 minutes at AEW. But when they said 30 minutes, I started watching the clock, and that match started around 8:04 Eastern time. So around 33 or 32, I was like, I wonder if they're going to announce the time. And then it hit 1 minute. So at least they were, they were on it for that. Unlike the records and the ratings and all that stuff. Yeah. And how crazy is it that Daniel Bryanson is the only wrestler that will ever headline WrestleMania and curtain jerk Dynamite in the same year?
So somebody else had a line that was very good like that, Jay, of the last time he wrestled, there was no fans, and tonight there was 20,000. Shows what AEW can draw, related. Real quick, what I liked about I wanted to bring this up. What did you guys think about it going first?
Loved it.
Compared to obviously being the main event.
Yeah.
Knowing how the main event went, I'd have flip-flopped it.
Okay. And that's kind of how I felt after the fact, but in the moment of it being first, it was like, oh, here we go. Like that felt really good. But yeah, I had the same feeling with All Outside, where I couldn't believe that Punk and Darby weren't headlining, because this is Chicago. It's going to be the hottest crowd ever. And then you had Christian and Omega, which was a good match, but I knew the crowd wasn't going to feel it. But they come out with Adam Cole. They come out with Bryan. That was like, okay, yes, that's how you end the show. And the way the show ended with just Britt winning by
a title match, though.
Yes, it was a title match.
So that's why I think
okay.
Flipped.
Yeah, I can see that.
And,
yeah,
and
I guess I expected something more.
And that's another match. Another match. People were complaining about it being on free TV. Like, what is wrong with you?
Well, I don't know.
Why would you complain about these outstanding matches being free on TV?
Yeah.
So I don't know
that. Real quick, and too, just about that match. Sorry, you guys.
No, don't
hogging the time here.
Just tell me to shut up.
So tonight, or one of these nights real soon, Jay, I know is like the UFC Hall of Fame induction, and they're inducting the fight of Jones versus Gustafson. Or however arbitrary that is. But that's what that match felt like to me. And maybe you guys picked up on this too. There was never a time in that 30 minutes where like somebody had like 5 minutes of dominating action. It was just back and forth. Like somebody would get a little advantage, and within like 2 minutes, the other guy would have the advantage. And that's what I liked about it. It was just quick, really quick. And nobody had that like prolonged advantage of just like dominating, like, Kenny's got to get back into this. Like he would get back into it. Like after a minute of Daniel Bryan offense, I thought that was spectacular. That was such a really good watch for me.
Joe, are you still here? We haven't heard from you in a while.
Well,
any thoughts on
Weekend at Bernie's?
This is the
Weekend at Joey's.
The Brian Danielson show, or Brian Christie show. No, it's fine. It's no, I mean, what do I have to say? It was a great match. I really don't see anything topping it this year, but it's only September, so you never know.
I mean, Braun
pretty much
Breaker
nailed
is
it. You knew
kicking
it was
ass every week. So
what was that?
Don't sleep
Braun
on
Breaker
Braun
is
Breaker.
kicking ass every Tuesday. So I
Yeah.
mean,
Oh yeah, you got
It's
that.
not over yet.
I just if there was only one complaint about AEW this week,
shocker,
dude. No, if there's only one complaint, it's CM Punk, the sour grapes. You got to let it go. You can't say it's finally good to have wrestling back in New York. That WWE
they were just there
at the Garden
a week
last
ago.
week.
Yeah,
it's like stop. It's over. You're there. You're saying you're happy. They don't care you're there. Move on. It's like the bitter, bad breakup that only one person cares about, and the other one's happily married for 7 years. And it's like, oh, I dated her.
If
that's what it is.
I liked it.
Are we still? Is the oversaturation of CM Punk still a thing for you guys? Because it is for me.
I liked him during Grand Slam, just to the fact where he's like, I'm happy. Don't push me, because you're gonna get the bad guy, and
that's what I want.
That and he
push.
Those are the type of things. No, that and I feel like he's gonna get pushed to a little bit closer, because it's not gonna be a clean match on tonight, right?
The 15-year-old's gonna the 15-year-old with the stupid name is gonna interfere.
It'll be something. CM Punk will maybe get thrown through a table. It's funny how he did mention that from
they tried to,
but it's a lot of talking, yes, but every time he's still on the screen, I'm still glued to it.
I don't need
to the point where I've gotten annoyed.
It's the first time CM Punk did this. It's the first time CM Punk did this. It's the first time I don't need that shit anymore. Get through Friday. Get through tonight, get through the match, and that shit is now he's just a part of the roster. He doesn't need to be doing commentary. Yep. He doesn't need to be doing interview segments every time. Like, how about a week when he's not on TV?
Isn't that weird? Isn't that weird?
Like Dark or Evolution.
Oh gosh,
put him on that. Like, get some eyes on that show.
See, Brock on WWE, not on there enough.
Right. And that's
now we're getting CM Punk so many times. Be fucking grateful.
Right. I'm totally with you. I'm seeing
so sour.
I'm seeing all sides of that. I took it right on my head where I was like, we complain about Brock not being there, and now we're complaining about CM Punk being there too much. Where's the happy medium? Can you be on every other week? Like, is that where the sweet spot is for us? I don't know.
Kevin, Brock Lesnar never blocked me on Twitter. I keep wanting Brian to do a spit take. Every time you take a drink, I'm like waiting, and I'm waiting.
I can't spit out this delicious pumpkin. I'm sorry.
I know.
Anyway, I'm kidding about that. It's just too much. It's too much overkill of CM Punk. Like I said, after the Hobbs match, let's just make him a regular part of the roster, not the greatest thing that ever lived. That type of stuff. That's just me.
What did we think of MJF and Pillman?
About as what I
had his first chance.
I think I went to the bathroom during that match.
What I expected.
So do you think he's ready?
For what?
Pillman Jr.?
Yeah.
I think he's ready to be lower mid card.
He's where he is, I think. What I took some interest in, though, I would say this is the first instance of an AEW crowd not following the story, and I'm talking about Cody and Malachi Black. I'm sorry,
Malachi.
Is it?
Yes,
Malachi. Yeah. It's Malachi, right?
It's Malachi, right? Yeah. So Cody's back. He brings Brandy out with him.
She got to get her camera time. Brandy got to get her hog that camera time.
Roads to the Top is coming out next week, I believe.
Not to be confused with Roads on Top.
Yeah.
That's the sex tape.
Yeah, I'm hoping
how they made their kid.
So, but yeah, so that was really interesting to me, and I don't know if it's as much we're sick of Cody as it is we love Malachi Black and what he's doing. We'll see how this next couple weeks go, but the impression that I got was, let's root for Cody. He's back and Brandy's back, and the crowd was not having it. So that was the first instance I can remember of an AEW crowd saying, we know what we want right now, and it's not what you're trying to sell us.
For a moment, I thought Arn Anderson was just an old guy, but apparently that was supposed to happen when he fell off the apron, got back up, and then
it was. I thought that too, though.
Yeah, but Brandy getting in the ring, giving the double bird, like he should have kicked her head off. That's what he should have done.
Liberty would not have a mommy.
Like a tennis, like they were in a tennis thing, right? So the ropes would have been the net. He could have kicked her head and it would have went into the crowd, and they could have volleyed with Brandy's head.
Talk about double fault, huh?
My Brandy comment, she did look good. That is my Brandy comment.
She did 3 months after her baby.
Yeah,
we did. That gives credence to Jay and I's old bet of when he wanted her at like the Rumble, like a month after she had her baby with Seth. And I was like, hey, she just had a baby. Like, she ain't going to be wrestling. What are you thinking about right now? But there's Brandy 3 months later being Superwoman. So cheers to her.
Then we had FTR against Sting and Darby. Sting did a lot more than I thought he was going to do. I liked FTR's NWO themed tights. I didn't like how they walked out of the tunnel backwards, so you could see the words "Living Legend" on their jacket. I thought that was weird. But thoughts on Sting, Joe?
He did way more than I thought he would do.
I swear I just said that.
I know. Well, I'm disagreeing with you. I like the Darby Sting makeup, kind of like going
cool.
back to Joker Sting. Kind of gives them a tag team, and I think there's already. I mean, the seeds are planted for the breakup. Who's going to be the heel? Is it going to be Sting or is it going to be Darby? Here's hoping Darby turns on Sting before the end of the year. But yeah, I like the match, and FTR finally doing things good. They're not just part of the Pinnacle. I think that's done. And then they can go back and do their thing.
I think what it needs to be is like, I always feel like a faction can be a faction without having to be around each other the whole time. You know, they could be doing their own things, but when they need to come together, I think the Pinnacle was a waste. They should have left it, let them all be kick-ass single or tag team and go from there.
The crowd was into it. The crowd was definitely into everything Sting did. It was like, dude, this guy's in his 60s and he's still like Showtime. So
yeah. And then
he's doing great.
Then the main event, Britt Baker against Ruby Soho. Did anybody think Britt was actually going to lose the title?
No.
I thought there was a chance because of how the opening match was a draw. That I thought, okay, let's go out on a high note again. I was like, I didn't expect it, but I did think there was a chance.
Any thoughts on the main event, Kevin?
It was okay. I don't think Britt needs all that outside shenanigans. She's so good. Like,
she's the bad guy.
I know, but she
needs you to buy her
with
shirt.
being sneaky inside the ring. Like, it would be better if her entourage wasn't. I always forget. Is it Rebel or Reba?
She forgets too.
She forgets too,
right?
But
that's the gimmick.
You can't take her seriously as being like someone extremely tough. And then was it Hater? Mm-hmm. Well, I'm a hater on Hater because
you're in the house.
Like, I don't know. I just think they take away from Britt. That's the thing. Britt's
she's the bad guy. She's got to have her crew.
But like,
she's got to have her crew.
It was okay. I thought it was a good match, but it was a good match. Nothing like that's memorable. Maybe because that first match was so awesome. Everything else was good.
Agree.
I thought there would be a debut or some other announcement. I read online that maybe there was a secondary women's title going to be announced.
Yep.
The big thing is next week they're in Rochester, New York, and that's where Brody Lee debuted because he's from there. And Wyndham Rotunda's non-compete is over.
Oh,
so a lot of people think that he may debut next week. as the new leader of the Dark
Brody
Order.
Was supposed to debut there, but it was the start of the pandemic, so Brody debuted.
Did it happen
in Jacksonville?
They did. Okay, yeah. It was
supposed to be, but it was.
It was the same night as
Matt
Hardy
right? did the teleportation on the empty arena.
So I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to stay away from all Rampage Grand Slam spoilers. I do know one thing that happened that is just stupid, but I haven't seen any match results or anything like that. So, we don't do spoilers here. But we are doing something a little different. Instead of the 5 count this week, October 2nd is next Saturday, and it is the 2-year anniversary of AEW's first episode on TNT. So I thought it'd be fun to go back, talk about the matches, and see where the guys are now that debuted on that first show. Now, I know I watched it live because at the time for whatever reason, I wasn't able to, my job, I wasn't getting home until like 7:00. And in that one particular day, like the wrestling gods like shined down, and I was able to get home and watch it live as it was happening. So the first match on Dynamite was Cody against Sammy Guevara. Cody was already the number 1 contender for Jericho's title. Jericho came out and made it and caused a distraction. Then it ended up that Cody ended up winning anyway, but that started the early seeds of the Inner Circle. Now, we just talked about Cody, people booing him last night, Wednesday night. But Sammy obviously had a big run with the Inner Circle in the 2 years since, surprisingly still together. I don't know. I mean, do we think that Sammy has – do we think Sammy's going to be a champion in AEW anytime soon? Brian?
Well, I think they teased on Dynamite Wednesday that he's going to go against Miro. So it could be as soon as this Wednesday. I think he's on the right path, right? I think this was the very first match of Dynamite, a brand new promotion, TNT, and a guy I'd never heard of or seen in my life. And frankly, I think in like the lead up, they did the interview and promos with him, and he'd come out. He used to like wear like panda.
He wore the panda head,
and I immediately was like, "Oh, fuck you!" Like, I was like, what is this? What is this? What I'm gonna be getting with this new promotion? I got this guy with panda on his head. Like, hey, like what is this? So, as we know, later on that night, things started to come together with the Inner Circle, and I think his trajectory has been a very steady climb. He hasn't fallen off the face of AEW. He's somebody that the crowd really enjoys. Guys, we saw a great match. That was one of my favorite matches at Revolution with him and Pac. Him and Darby. Him and Darby. So like it was right then and there. It's like, okay, this guy has something really special. So I think, on the right path for sure.
So Kevin, the next match was MJF against Brandon Cutler.
Yeah.
The highlight for this match was that MJF cut his own music. It told him, cut the music, which then led the crowd into calling him an asshole, the asshole chant. Obviously, MJF, the future of this company, or maybe he ends up, up in New York. I don't know. He'd just be like a watered down Miz if he goes to New York, but that's besides the point. Thoughts on MJF 2 years later?
I've been a big MJF guy. Everyone knows it. Same with Brian with Sammy. I didn't know who MJF was. Like we're gonna touch base on some wrestlers later on in this little go around. I didn't know who several guys were. Like it's Sammy's so young. What, early 20s, early to mid 20s. MJF early to mid 20s, and you're seeing him on here, and you're like, wow, rival promotion, right? AEW, like. Who are these young guys, right? Because Jericho's the champ and all these young guys, and then it's like watching the matches, and then I love myself a heel, and MJF is just the man. I need to go back and rewatch that as well.
Yeah, I'm sure it's on YouTube somewhere.
Like, I need to go back and watch that Darby versus Sammy match that Brian mentioned that we were all at. There's just so many good things that AEW has put on that I have to like go back and rewatch.
And then the next thing, Joe, Jay and Silent Bob cut a promo.
Thank you for giving me that one. I appreciate it.
It led into an altercation with Angelico and Jack Evans, and then Private Party came out and saved the day. I mean, what's interesting, and I don't know if you guys know this, they were supposed to be on
SmackDown,
and WWE said
Bob reboot,
and WWE said nope, not gonna happen.
Jericho was in the movie.
Yeah, exactly. So it made sense. Angelico and Jack Evans, 2 years later, they're still awesome. Like, go find their Lucha Underground stuff if you haven't seen it, because it's pretty awesome. And then, of course, Private Party. I'm not like this whole Hardy family operation. Let them just be white meat babyface tag team. That's all they should be. They're so good. Brian, grow up. Grow up with your stupid pumpkin beer. Jerk. So that I'm waiting, man.
I'm like, is the color on my TV wrong? What am I watching?
Yeah, you're such an asshole. The next thing up was just a brawl backstage. Lucha Bros and SCU, which SCU is not even a thing anymore. Lucha Bros are the tag champs. So 2 years later, I think they're doing okay. Hangman, leading up to, he was going to be the future. He was going to be the champ. And he was. And him and Pac had a great match. Paige hit a moonsault off the top rope outside. Pac was able to distract Earl Hebner and then hit Hangman with a groin shot. And then the greatest AEW Women's Championship match that nobody ever cared about, Riho against Nyla Rose for the inaugural championship. I don't think either one of them have been on Dynamite in at least 5 months. Do anybody want to comment on Riho or Nyla Rose? Because I don't really have it.
They were in the Battle Royal, weren't they?
It's not Dynamite.
Yeah,
it's all outside.
Well, they made the pay-per-view.
Yeah. No, I mean that was a start. That's when we went like, oh, the women's division needs work. It's been getting better, since Britt's had the belt and everything. So.
Yeah.
But,
and then
it's funny to look about it 2 years ago. Like, okay, these were the two that we're
the pillars. The pillars of the AEW women's division.
Like,
women's wrestling matters.
I haven't gravitated to either of them. No. And then the main event, Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks against Chris Jericho and two surprise partners, ended up being Santana and Ortiz, which then led to the beginning of the Inner Circle. I did not like the name in the beginning. I thought the Inner Circle was a dumb name, but obviously 2 years later, it's part of the vernacular. Thoughts on the main event, if you remember it, or where we are now. We'll start with Kevin.
Yeah, main event was good, right? But I think the combination of all those guys creating the Inner Circle is what highlighted that night, right? Because that's stable. That stable is stable. That's the
2 years later, yeah.
MJF in, MJF out. Like, ooh, are they gonna tease? Jericho gets hurt. Is he gonna be kicked out? Nothing. Like, it's proof that I'd say 90% of that entire first show is on the upper to the top of all of AEW. Like,
well, because it's the first show. I mean, it had to be.
Yeah,
had to be.
But I mean, like even SC, and you said SCU, it's more like SCU, like. Now Kazarian just wrestled
Christian Cage on Impact.
Adam Cole last week looked
great.
Right?
Yeah.
Kazarian, yep.
Christopher Daniels Don't know
he's
where
talent
you're at,
relations. He's backstage.
And then Scorpio Sky's looking great, doing some good stuff. So it's like
Man of the year.
So it's great.
Joe, thoughts on the formation of the Inner Circle in episode 1?
Didn't think it would last 2 years. I thought it was just going to be till Jericho dropped the belt and then they'd move on. So I'm kind of glad that the stable is stable, as we said. Was this the main event where Moxley came out and attacked Omega and started brawling with them all around the arena, or was that the next week?
I think that was the next week or shortly after.
Because that seemed to be more memorable to me was when Moxley just started throwing them all over the arena, and setting up their.
No. That was at the first Double or Nothing. The one I was at. No, but
this was like a Dynamite too. Like you threw him through a table.
Well, no, that was they had a match. They had a Falls Count Anywhere match.
Okay,
that was like a week or two after. That was a week or two after.
I knew it was towards the beginning, but yeah, it's funny. It's like you were saying that the stabilization of Inner Circle, but look at who the main event was: Omega and the Young Bucks. They're still together too, and the tables turned. Episode 1, they were faces. Now they're the super heels. I refuse to call them Super Click. And
you just did.
I'm one and only. You're not going to hear me say that again for 7 years.
Okay.
But anyway, I thought it was a good main event. I thought it was a good episode. It kept my interest. I ended up watching it the next week and then the next week and then the next week. And it turned into more of I was watching AEW more and DVRing NXT, which was painful for me, but it seemed like AEW was building more momentum than NXT television. NXT television was just building towards takeovers.
And that's as silly as you guys thinking it was an actual war. Nerds.
It was not a war. Said it. We were going to lose another Wednesday night war to Adam Cole.
Tony Khan said it too.
Yeah, not a war. Brian, thoughts 2 years later on the Inner Circle?
Yeah,
and the main event.
Yeah, not even so. But I mean, yeah, I'm with Joe. Like, yeah, wouldn't have not have seen this last that long. It seemed kind of a hodgepodge of like you got Jericho, you've got these Puerto Rican superstars in Santana or Ortiz. You got Jake Hager, formerly Jack Swagger, and this new guy, Sammy Guevara. Is like, what? This is like kind of all over the board. I'm not saying, yeah, which I hated.
Jericho told him to dump the panda, so that's why.
That was smart. Yeah, but yeah, you would compare that to like Undisputed Era, which is like 4 guys that seem like similar backgrounds, similar styles. Like seem a little more of a mesh.
Under 6 feet.
Yeah, and yeah, absolutely. So it's like, okay, there's more threads there. So yeah, they're still doing their thing. The other thing though that I took away from that is literally every single person is still on the roster. And I didn't get the time to think about this, but I was like, I want to go back to a Monday Night Raw from 2 years ago at this time. And see,
do that for next week. You can do that for next week.
We'll do that. Yeah.
Extra credit, Brian.
To see the main event of Braun Strowman versus Bray Wyatt or something like that, right? So
yeah,
I was like, wow, they've obviously they've only added on to the roster, and there's going to be plenty to decipher from how that'll be 6 months from now with all these men and women, and really only adding 1 more hour of actual live television wrestling with Rampage. So that'll be a story to watch. I think I saw an interview just this week about it. I think it was Bryan Danielson talking about it with them being on the AEW roster, that like, this will come back around, that eventually some AEW guys, when their contracts are up, are going to go, I was misused and I have a better opportunity. And so maybe that happens in the next year. Maybe it's farther down the road. Who knows? And maybe it doesn't happen.
Do you guys have any idea, any thoughts on that statement? What AEW talent's going to jump back over to WWE? Any ideas? Any thoughts? Because I have one.
Who, Brian Cage?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a great first one. I know. I say
just
that,
because you mentioned something like that in the past, Jay. That's the only.
Yeah.
I like that. I mean, you triggered it in my head too when you mentioned about Private Party and what they're doing. It is kind of like what are you doing right now? Like you had this clear direction early on of who your characters were, and now it's kind of muddled with Matt Hardy, I feel like.
Joe, you got one?
Lance Archer.
Yeah, that's another one I considered. But he's got his New Japan tie-ins too, so there's something there too. I don't know.
It's either him or Wardlow.
Yeah,
Wardlow I think would be
the same. Wardlow would be the same as Brian Cage, but Wardlow would go to NXT. Cage, I think, would go to the main roster. I think he'd go to SmackDown. So, all right. So as we said earlier, no 5 count tonight. We just wanted to recap the first AEW Dynamite that is October 2nd, which I know is a week away, but that's because next week's 5 count is the day of the beginning of the WWE draft. So next week's 5 count will be our top 5 moves we want to see in the draft. And what's cool about it, the podcast will come out Friday morning. First night of the draft is Friday night. Second night of the draft is Monday night. And then we're back the following Friday to recap what happened and what we wanted to happen. And we'll see who, if anybody, was correct. But we're going to take a quick break. Check this out.
The following announcement has been paid for by That Wrestling Podcast.
Just when you think you have all the pro wrestling merchandise you need, you wrong. That Wrestling Podcast merch is perfect for everyone. And the tanks make you look extra buff.
Get your That Wrestling Podcast merchandise at whatamaneuver.net and search That Wrestling Podcast. The preceding announcement has been paid for by That Wrestling Podcast.
Kevin.
Come on.
Who's the man?
You are buff.
And you're not the stuff.
Whatamaneuver.net. Search That Wrestling Podcast. You can pick up our shirts. You get them as hoodies, long sleeves, the aforementioned tank tops to make you buff. Now, much like the ad we played 2 weeks ago, we shot this at Brian's house during All Outside. Brian, how did you come up with this brainchild for this, the concept?
Yeah, so there's more in the can. So
there is, a couple more.
Listeners gotta stay tuned because there's some more coming. But what I tried to do was kind of do a theme of each one that would fit each of our kind of personalities on the show. And so Kevin is a big tank top guy. And since we have those available, only seems right to make him show off what he loves and enjoys.
That's the article of clothing for just the same amount of money.
If you are listening and want to see the commercial, go to @thatwrestlepod on social media, and you can see the videos there. You can follow you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have a 6th subscriber now. Last week it was the 4 of us and my wife. We've got a 6th that I have no idea who the person is, and his name is escaping me now. But thank you for subscribing.
Alan.
Is it fucking Alan? Is fucking Alan number 6? Is he our 6th Pac? Come on. The NFL picks video we talked about last week debuted.
Yeah.
Brian and Kevin, let's get a week 2 update. Where do things stand?
Harper has another week, another game gained by Harper.
Deja vu.
That's like last year where Harper got off to this early lead and she's opened up a 2-game lead. The one game that they had different was last Monday night, last Sunday night, it was the Chiefs at the Ravens. Harper seems to be really interested in picking the home teams. I don't know. We'll see if that's a pattern. Because it's the last team that I mentioned of the 2, right?
That's what I'm guessing, yeah.
That's what I'm guessing, but it worked for her, and I didn't see it coming. Even my own dad on Facebook goes, Brett's going to get a game on Harper this week, I think, because, like everybody else, we thought the Chiefs would win. Ravens pulled it out somehow. I went to bed. I didn't even watch the end of it, and I woke up and went, holy crap, Harper wins again. So Harper's up 2. We're on to our week 3 picks, and we'll see how it goes.
That's fun. You can check those videos out as well on our YouTube channel. Search That Wrestling Podcast and subscribe and like and all those other things because it does help the algorithm. At That WrestlePod on social media. DMs are open. You can send us questions, comments, whatever. And we want to thank Dangerous Darren for the voiceover on the show as well as the commercial. He did a great couple reads there. It sounds very similar to the old the preceding message has been brought to you. Like, I made my wife watch every NWO video I could find on YouTube. Nice. And by like the third one, it was like, all right, I get it. I don't need to watch this anymore. I'm like, no, it's the K-Dog one. We got to watch this one. It's the Hollywood one. No, it's the Wolfpack. Yeah. So thanks to Dangerous Darren. Thanks to We Are Wasted. They are getting ready to open up for Fozzy on a tour in Ohio coming up here in the next couple weeks. Thank you guys for the entrance music. Brian, Kevin, Joe, thanks for hanging out this week. Thank you for listening. And we will talk to you next week on That Wrestling Podcast.
Thanks for listening. Follow That WrestlePod on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube.
1, 2, 3, that's it!